Welcome to another episode on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. We're doing a long-form podcast. Trevor Brew, Tommy Morris. A's-Royals game just ended in dramatic fashion, Tommy.
Long form.
I cut you off. I thought you were going to go something.
Form. Sorry, are we talking? Oh, I wasn't listening.
No. I keep cutting you off when you're doing your little intro, so I was giving you a moment of silence so you could go for it.
Long form.
We good?
Yeah, we're good. We're both good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, crazy finish to the Royals-A's game, ends in dramatic fashion. Heartbreaker for the A's after the way their season is gone. Get to some NFL action, maybe some baseball predictions, maybe talk a little European soccer because you love that so much these days, Tommy.
Oh my gosh, I am the biggest Man City fan. You don't even know.
Blue and white, right?
Yeah, man.
What's their nickname, Tommy?
City.
Come on.
Blue and white. Blue and white, man. Man City. So. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to stay silent for a second and see if I could instill some doubt in you. If I just didn't say anything, if you would start questioning.
I mean, I got it, right? Right? I got it?
I actually didn't know the answer, so I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Mr. European Soccer. Didn't even know the answer, but I did. There is no nickname. That's it. It's just Man City.
There's definitely not. The Citizens, the Sky Blues.
Okay, well that's unofficial.
The Citizens is their nickname.
No, it's an unofficial nickname. You just made that up right now.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not making it up. The Citizens is their nickname.
Well, anyone can edit a Wikipedia page, so.
I actually have done that before. It's a pretty enlightening experience.
Oh, I used to do that. And in high school, this was my favorite prank to do. I would go to if we had reports due or whatever in history, I would go to some history page of something that kids were going to look up, and I would change one sentence to make them not think that anything was real, so I'd be the only one to be able to use that Wikipedia page. For example, if it was on George Washington, I would add in a sentence there, at age 5, George Washington was abducted by aliens. Leave everything else the same. So then after you've read that, while doing your research, you can't trust any of that.
Doesn't it get fixed relatively quickly though? Do you really think there was enough of a window for you to change that where everyone else in the class was going to go search that?
You know what? I had never thought about that until right now. I thought that was the most genius strategy of all time until right now, and now I feel stupid. So
I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure there's a pretty short window where you actually get it changed.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. Maybe that genius plan
something to
didn't
think
really
about
work.
going forward.
Gosh, I mean, I wish I had more book reports now. I would have changed that in my strategy.
Did you ever have what was it called? It's help me here. It's called like a something-o-rama, like in a shoebox.
Diorama.
I
had to do one of those. Yeah, on Roberto Clemente.
What was the idea behind that again? That you present what happened in the book in a shoebox? Is that the idea? I'm looking.
Yeah, it was like a scene from the book or something like that. Is what I did.
I'm actually on WikiHow right now, reading 13 steps how to make your diorama.
Well, you should be careful of Wikipedia because you can't really trust everything you read on there.
No, but what's cool about this is it actually has pictures to show you the idea behind it. I'm just letting you know, one time I was on John Adams' Wikipedia page, and it said that he had been abducted by aliens at age 5. So, can't believe everything you see on there. The diorama I'm looking at right now is it's Dino Island. It's an island with dinosaurs. And if anyone's interested in viewing this while they listen, go to www.wikihow.com/make-a-diorama. What's cool about this is they use a really intelligent combination of paper mache, vibrant colors. It looks like actually some real life rocks with some clay putty, and maybe I think it might actually be a little bit of AstroTurf, and it really gives a nice effect The dinosaurs are a little subpar. I think you might want to put a little more work into the fine details, but it's not bad. My dad actually, I was the king of pawning work off on my dad whenever I had any type of art project like that. You know, I just come to him on a Sunday night, just do Monday morning at 9 a.m. And I think it was actually had like a Japanese temple he built one time out of a shoebox. It was phenomenal. We still have this thing. I gotta get a picture of this to post on
good
on
for
the
you.
website.
Yeah, it sounds like you did a really good job on that.
But I mean, Tommy, you learned it at a young age. You know, it's not how well you can do the work, but if you can find someone else to do the work for you.
Right, which is why I went ahead and no, actually, I did all my work as a kid. Not very, you know, I just, you know, put it all together last minute and turned it in. I'll tell you this: I always turn things in. Can't say I didn't turn anything in. I turned everything in on time. So,
you know what you sound like? The way that American culture has fostered kids. You know, oh, I played AYSO, I get a trophy. Doesn't matter that I didn't win. I still got a trophy.
No, because you know the grades reflected my effort, but you know I did turn.
I guess yeah, that's yeah.
I did turn it in, so you can't say I didn't try. You know.
That's a hell of a motto to live by.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of turning it in but not trying, let's talk about the A's.
Ooh, wow, that was a tough one. That was a tough one for Oakland to take. I mean, it looked like they were going to win that game like 3 times, and it just couldn't happen. And you hate to put it on one guy, but gosh, man, is there no one else who could catch the ball behind the plate on that roster? Jeez. That was brutal. That was a brutal performance by Derek Norris.
Yeah. It was almost like the A's season in a nutshell happened in that game, you know? They're looking great. They're looking dominant. They're up by 4 runs. Everything, it looks like they're going to run away with it. Next thing you know, everything collapses. Utter disaster. Looks like they're going to lose the game in the bottom of the 9th. They escape. Looks like they're going to lose in the 10th. They escape. They finally get a run on the board. Some hopes renewed, and then it all goes out the window again. And I think that's their season in a nutshell.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you on that. I mean, I was watching the game. It was 7-4. I wanted to go to the gym at some point, and I'm like, okay, it's safe for me to walk to the gym. By the time I get to the gym, it is 7-6, and there's another runner on base. I mean, it was like, are you kidding me? Like, is this really happening right now? So, oh my gosh.
I had a really similar instance happen where, in a similar fashion to you, I didn't feel, I you know, stupidly, you know, we have a sports show. Why even watch the game? You know, we talk about sports. We might as well just, you know, turn it off. So I decided to watch an episode. You watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, Tommy?
Too close to home for me.
What do you mean it's too close to home?
I mean, I've been through too many of those awkward experiences in my life to where it makes me cringe when I see them. I've had it's just, you know, it's too real.
Well, so I turned on an episode of that. It was actually it's one of the classics. Have you ever seen the episode where he cuts the girl's the doll's hair off?
I think I may have.
Yeah, you probably haven't based on that reaction. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so I was watching an episode of that. The episode ended. I see that it's a tie game going in the 9th. I'm like, what the hell or the night's over. It's a tie game. So I missed I think I missed the 8th and 9th. Talk about terrible timing. So I have to go back and watch that. But the extras just you got to feel for the A's. I mean, what does Billy Beane have to do? A lot of people are blaming him from that in-season trading Cespedes. You know, it really impacted the demise of their offense throughout the second half of the season. But I don't think if you can really criticize Billy Beane, because he's had so many times in the past where he's gone into the postseason and other areas have been deficient and haven't allowed them to prevail. And I think he really felt like in order to succeed deep into the postseason, he needed a better pitching rotation. And I don't think he probably thought, obviously, that Cespedes was going to not being there was going to affect the offense as much as it did. But if you're Billy Beane, in the last 10 years, you've had all these different disappointments. I can't fault you for trying to shake it up and trying a new approach. So that's just my thought on it.
Oh, gosh. I mean, okay, if you recall when this trade happened, I went ahead and said that was a bad idea. I don't know if you recall this, but I'm trying to look up their records.
Tommy, I feel like you're that guy who picks out things that I can't recall and then talks about why you were right.
Well, you can go back and listen to it if you'd like. I mean, so they make the trade. They make the trade at the end of July. Okay. Since the trade, all right. You with me on this?
I'm all yours, Tommy. I've always been.
Okay, since the trade, they have 33 losses, 22 wins. They're 22-33 since the trade. Okay, and before that, they had not had. They had. Oh gosh, I can't do the math this quickly. Come on, Tommy. But trust me, they had the records in the months with Cespedes: 667, 571, 654, 600. After the trade, 414, 385. A very, very, very big, obvious switch there. So I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, there's no way to make an argument that the trade worked out for the A's. All I was saying is I could see from Billy Bede's standpoint, when you've tried so many different things and it seems like you've continuously failed when you've gone to the playoffs in some fashion over the last, now it's like 12 or 13 years, that you've got to try something new. And it's almost sad because you start to see a lot of these teams, a lot of franchises throughout America, and it almost seems like they have a certain curse in them that they're never going to get over the hump.
But why do you always have to do something when you don't win the championship? One team wins a freaking championship. What are 29 teams going to completely overhaul everything? I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Tommy, I'm going to let you finish this, but I just want to interject because I think that's a really good point that you're bringing up right now. We should definitely touch on this more because I think that's not broadened up nearly enough.
It happens in every single sport. You see it in basketball. Oh, they'll never get over the hump. The Thunder will never win a championship unless they change everything. Why do they have to change everything? Why? I mean,
Tommy, I'll tell you why. But there's two. Okay, this is my whole thought process behind it. There's two completely separate ways of looking at it. There is the complete fan way. You're a very sophisticated, intelligent fan. I wouldn't almost call you a fan because you understand the game well enough that you probably could do a decent job being a GM. So you're not just a straight fan. You're someone who understands the game very well. But you are an independent observer. That's one person. Okay, let's say that's you. The other person who is someone with a lot of different pressures on them, someone who's a GM, someone who's in a position of power because they have the owner breathing down their neck. They have all the media. They have all these different pressures, and there's no patience involved. You look right now, and coaches get fired after 1 year, 2 years. So there's all these different people who have different goals who are pushing their interest, and that's what happens when you get certain trades. Like, think about, I'm trying to think about some of the biggest moves that you've seen in sports. Think about in the NBA when you see a player signed for an exorbitant amount of money that makes no sense. Someone like Josh Smith with the Pistons, putting fans in the seats, trying to instill hope, all this different stuff that makes no sense towards a long-term goal. And you have coaches who have a year or two left, or a GM who has a year or two left, trying to make a splash so they don't get fired, but it's not in the best interest of the team long term. So I think that's what happens when you see a lot of these instances. Another perfect example, the San Jose Sharks. After that collapse last year, they started trading players, traded Dan Boyle. They took Joe Thornton's captaincy away. They're trying to change all these things because they've had such poor luck in the past. But you're right. To what extent, do you have to change stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to overhaul. It's the craziest thing in the world. I mean, so you have a team that maybe finishes, third or fourth, and all of a sudden you got to blow the whole thing up because they'll never win a championship. And you got to look at both sides of it. I mean, you're still better than almost every team in the league. It's just, I'm sorry you're not number one this year, but it doesn't mean you need to change everything. I mean, you got guys you're this close. Maybe the guys who are on the team will take something from that loss and understand that how to play it better the next year. It doesn't need it. I've never understood that. I have never, ever, ever understood that. I mean, gosh.
Tommy, a good example of what you're saying is I think the Baltimore Ravens winning the championship in 2013, I want to say, because or was it 2013? Because that Ravens team for 5 or 6 years have been getting to the AFC Championships games, getting knocked out by the Patriots, getting knocked out by the Steelers, that type of thing with John Harbaugh. Relatively similar team with Flacco and company. And they didn't break it up, and eventually they got the right bounces. They got they got extremely lucky with that catch by, was it Jacoby Jones over
yeah, that was a joke.
Over
the Broncos. That was a joke.
Yeah. And I mean, that was luck right there, and they had some luck in the Super Bowl too, but that's what it takes to win a championship, and I think that's a good example of keeping a roster together, keeping it intact. couldn't agree with you more that you see teams blown up too quickly, but I think it's because there's people that right now that are so impatient and so now, whether it's the owner, whether it's fans, whatever it is. It's crazy the way everyone's become where, if we don't, it's championship or busted every year. You make a point, another great point you make is, although it sucks not winning the championship, it's a lot better making a championship game or making the playoffs every year than being a bottom dweller, than being the Jacksonville Jaguars, than being the LA Clippers from the 80s basically until 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Raiders, fine, blow it up. Your team is terrible. You can't win a game. You have your coach. I don't even know what you would do. But if you were... I mean, look at the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, they add Jason Terry, and all of a sudden that changes the world, and they win a championship. You really think
that's another really good example? Were
the Seahawks so different last year than they were the year before? No, they get the same freaking team.
Okay, so Tommy, I wouldn't bring the Seahawks into this because they were still such a young team, and they won pretty early on. The better example, I think, is once a team has to go through more struggles and then blows it up. So the example I would say going forward, a team to watch, obviously I'm biased, but with the Niners, they don't win this year or the next year. Then, this is another example. Does a team blow stuff up or stay patient? Because I think the Niners are the type of team where we'll see if, let's say they don't win this year, then do they start thinking, these drastic changes need to be made, or do they just stick the course and win in a couple years like the Ravens did, like lots of other teams do?
No, I mean, I think they will blow it up because they'll realize Kaepernick's not a good quarterback, but that's a whole other issue.
Here we go.
Here
we go. I actually, hey, you know what? It was making me sad last night. I hate to say it, but I miss Alex Smith. I felt like when the Niners had Alex Smith, they were like the girl next door. Everyone was rooting for him. It was such a great story. He was resurrecting his career, and he really looked great last night. I mean, you saw the throws he was making. The thing that I appreciate the most about Alex Smith is that although he doesn't have the best arm, or he's missing other, it factors people talk about, he always makes intelligent throws that don't put the team in jeopardy of killing themselves, of shooting themselves in the foot. And I swear every time that guy was in a pressure situation, he came through somehow, some way.
Yeah, and I mean, the Niners made the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that is inconsistent, because all it takes is one bad game and one playoff game and your season's over. So you can't have that. You just can't have it. And a guy like Colin Kaepernick, he will have bad games. It will happen. He will have amazing games. He will make amazing plays, but he will also make plays where you shake your head and say, "What the hell was that?"
I'm definitely not agreeing with you when it comes to that. But that's another reason
that's not disagreeable. That's a fact. These are not.
All right, we're not going to go that far right now. But what I was going to say is that's another reason why it sometimes confuses me why everyone makes the term game manager such a negative term. I get it's not as sexy as what Colin Kaepernick's able to do when he's playing very well. But what's wrong with a game manager if you have someone who's going to throw 2 or 3 touchdowns a game, not turn the ball over, only throw for 180, 200 yards, but not kill your team?
I agree, and especially when the guy, he doesn't need to be the best player on their offense because they have the best running back in the league in Jamal Charles. So basically all you need is a guy who's just not going to screw it up. That's it. That's all you need, because Jamal Charles can do the rest. So... And Niall Davis is a great back, too.
And I also, what I also believe is if you have a game manager type quarterback, it forces you to build a stronger defense, and it also saves you money that you could put at other places. I will agree with you, points you made last week about, the Niners having to pay Kaepernick more. The same thing's going to happen with the Seahawks. A lot of the teams that have been so successful have had that extra money to put in different areas, and I think... I guess at the end of the day, what is so bad about a game manager? If he's not going to hurt you, you have more money to spread around, and you're able to build a team up in other places. What's so bad about that?
Totally agree. Been saying that for a while. Wait, what's the difference between Joe Flacco and Alex Smith? What's the difference?
I'd pick Alex Smith any day over Joe Flacco.
Yeah, is Joe Flacco really 2 times as good? Because that's what he's getting paid. So
then again, you know what, Tommy, that completely pretty much tears apart our argument is that Alex Smith just got paid and now he's making like $16 million a year.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, he just got a new contract for the season. I totally forgot about that. So that definitely crushes part of our argument.
But that was after the fact when they already signed everyone, and it was kind of like a thank you, if I'm not mistaken.
No, but it's going to go into effect next year.
Okay, well that's a mistake.
Yeah, so we didn't really address that. Actually, it could go into effect right now. I'm not really sure if this effect this year, but yeah, we both pretty much just that just canceled out both of our arguments.
It really did.
I mean, the principles were there. I liked what we were talking about. It all made sense up till that point.
Right, we had the right idea.
I'm gonna read you this contract. So, you ready for this, Tommy?
Yep, go.
He got this deal on September 1st. It's an extension that will keep him around for the term is for $68 million, and it's for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but it starts next year, correct?
I think it starts this year. I'm not exactly sure how that works if you have 1 year left on a contract and you sign an extension, does that overwrite the last year of the contract? That's something I've never been completely clear on.
No, I don't think so. I think because the extension keeps through. Maybe it does.
Someone might have to.
No,
tell
because
us we're wrong,
because the extension keeps him there till 2018, which means next year will be 15. Year after that is 16, 17, then 18.
Okay, but Tommy, it says $45 million guaranteed.
Okay, he gets that guaranteed money, yeah, but it's not.
Yeah, but I'm saying side note, so it's not like, it's like one of these things where they get cut him after a year or two. So, like, that's some pretty serious money.
Right, but it doesn't count. It does not count until next year, so we won't see the effect of it until next year.
Yeah, but I'm saying going forward.
Okay, well, I disagree with that contract.
Yeah. So, we both agree that, but this brings up another point, Tommy, that is it even possible to pay a game manager as little as Alex Smith was getting before due to how much quarterbacks have been paid lately? It's almost like any serviceable quarterback getting at least $15 million a year.
I mean, that's where the trend is going. I'll buy that, but I mean, I think if you could have gotten Alex Smith he was $7.5 a year, I think getting one for 10 to 12 wouldn't be that hard.
I still support the notion that I would rather have someone who's who takes better care of the ball and doesn't need to be all flashy in that sense. But as far as the money goes, our argument really isn't there. We probably should move on to something else because we've just both completely destroyed our own point.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Get out of here or just onto another topic?
Let's get out of this topic. Yeah, let's get out.
Okay. You want to bring something up or do you want to just let me keep,
Is that like a challenge?
No, I actually had nothing to say. So
do you want to talk about the Raiders firing their coach? Is that an interesting story? Do you care about that? Is it too much Oakland?
No, it's cool. I mean, it's not that interesting of a story, but I'll give it like 2 minutes.
Go. Yeah, give it your 2 cents.
I don't understand how the Raiders can continuously make such poor hirings. I was reading something, and it was like it was saying out of their last 8 or 9 coaches that only 1 or 2 of them have made it more than 2 full seasons.
Yeah, and this would have been Dennis Allen's 3rd year. Here's the thing. I don't think the problem's the coach. I think Dennis Allen's a great coach. I think the problem is the front office is so bad, it's literally impossible. I mean, look at that roster and tell me, how do you win with that? You can't. You have one running back in Jones-Drew who's old and hurt all the time. You have Jerick McKinnon who's never been anything. You have a rookie quarterback. Your wide receivers are basically a bunch of nobodies besides James Jones, who was the number 3 or 4 wide receiver in Green Bay last year. I mean, what the hell are you supposed to do? I mean, how do you win games like that? You don't have a tight end. You have nothing. You literally have no players. So I don't.
I mean, the defense was supposed to be improved this year, but it's just a lot of kind of mismatching parts.
It's just a bunch of not good players.
Khalil Mack was their rookie pick this year. You never know with him. But they've also botched the draft the last couple of years. I mean, what's his name? The guy with the heart condition. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, from Houston. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, DJ Hayden.
Yeah.
Like that was, what was that kind of pick? This is why I said 2 minutes. Like there's not. It's the Raiders. It's like. Do you think that Mark Davis is capable of creating a front office that can do the right thing? I mean, it didn't. When Reggie McKenzie was hired, it didn't seem like it was that bad of a hire. He came from Green Bay. It seemed like he had a pretty good repertoire, good experience. No one was saying, "Oh, this is a terrible hire" when he did it, because before Al Davis was the GM, so it was. it didn't seem like Mark Davis at the time was making any terrible moves. He understood the fact he needed to hire a GM. He hired someone who had a good track record identifying players. Reggie McKenzie had a good history of identifying players. So if you're defending Dennis Allen as a coach, then I'm asking you, where's the blame go?
I would say it's on McKenzie. I mean, look, what the hell? How do you coach that team? You have no players. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand what the. I mean, you bring in Matt Schaub, who can't even start over Derek Carr, and then it's just a mess.
I mean, you can't forget the other attempts. You know, trained for Matt Flynn.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch
Matt
of
Leinart.
Just a bunch of swings and misses. Just a bunch of them. And you can only do that so many
all
times.
I'm saying is he was the director of player personnel for the Green Bay Packers. You know, he had a good track record.
Right. I'm not arguing with the fact that he should have been hired to give it a chance. I'm just saying now he's proven that he's not a good general manager.
But at some points, like, you know, it's a little bit of it is luck too. You know, when the Niners got Harbaugh, they were abysmal, and they lucked out that a coach of his magnitude was available at that time and that he worked out well in the NFL. You know, some of these, yes, it takes the right intellect to hire the right person, but other parts of it are luck. Would you not agree there?
I would agree, and also agree with the fact the Raiders have kind of killed themselves because nobody wants to go coach there.
And they have a terrible stadium and facilities. It's questionable, like, what the deal with the future of the franchise is. Are they going to move to L.A.? We got rumors they're going to move to San Antonio.
I mean, if you were a hot up-and-coming coach and you had your options of where to coach, why would you ever go to coach in Oakland? They're gonna get the last choice of all the coaches every single year because of that. And that's just kind of
unless they get Harbaugh.
Yeah, that won't happen. I think he's much more likely to go back to Michigan than he is to go coach the Raiders.
He won't go back to Michigan because for him it's all about competition, and he's lost a Super Bowl. His brother has a Super Bowl ring. Pete Carroll has a Super Bowl ring. That guy's not going back to college unless he has a Super Bowl ring. That's my philosophy on it.
You don't think he'd want to go back and try and resurrect his alma mater?
But Tommy, he already had an opportunity to. When he left Stanford, the positions that were coveting him, the teams that were coveting him, was Michigan, Miami, Dolphins, and San Francisco 49ers. And he had a chance to go back to his alma mater right then and said no. And after all that's gone down, if he were to leave the 49ers, I don't believe that he would go back to Michigan unless he had that ring. That's just my belief. I mean, his arch rival, Pete Carroll, has a ring. His brother, who he lost to at a Super Bowl, has a ring. And he's made 3 straight NFC Championship games, and he doesn't have a ring. You think he's really going to head back to college? That's always going to be in his head.
Yeah, maybe. And the other reason I may buy that whole Raiders thing is because for family reasons, he coached at Stanford and then he coached at the Niners. His family's always been in the Bay Area for a while now. If he goes to Oakland, he can stay in the Bay Area. So
and he's a little bit of a nuthead. He loves the competition factor. If he did leave the Niners, to stick it to the Niners would be a big deal for him.
Yeah, but he's going to go to the worst team in the NFL. So I don't know. It's a tough sell if you're trying to get him there. But we'll see.
So, Tommy, now that the Niners beat the Eagles last week, do you feel any better about them?
No.
Nothing whatsoever?
No.
What do you think about the NFC in general, though? The Saints got their ass kicked on Monday Night Football. Somehow the Cowboys are now 3-1. I don't think we've seen parity like this in a long time. The NFC was supposed to be the stronger division, or the stronger conference, and it was something like if the Cowboys had lost on Sunday, there were only going to be like 2 teams above 500 in the NFC.
I mean, that's okay. It's still early, but I would say the Seahawks are still a great team. I think the Saints are still, a pretty good team. I think the Cardinals are probably the most underrated team in football. I don't think anybody really talks about them much. But speaking of good coaching hires, Bruce Arians, great coaching hire last year. So,
I really like Bruce Arians as a coach. What will be interesting to see there is what happens when Carson Palmer is healthy again. Drew Stanton looked really good against the Niners 2 weeks ago. If they win a couple more games while Carson Palmer's recovering, or I actually want to check and see how his health's doing, but do they stay with Drew Stanton?
No, never. No way. It's a major step down from Carson Palmer, in my opinion.
All I'm saying is, you know how it works with quarterbacks in this league. It's
right,
suddenly
but
someone's hot.
I would say that Drew Stanton has not performed so overwhelmingly great that you would have to stick with him. He's been very average.
He looked pretty great against the 49ers. I wouldn't say, I would not use the word average. I'd use the word above average.
Sure.
Significantly above average. I wouldn't use the word tremendous, but I would use the word, well, I guess this isn't a word, the 3 words significantly above average. I wish I had one word to sum up the 3 words that the one word would mean.
Okay, well, I mean, so in that game, he goes 18 for 33, 244 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Tommy, I'm going to read you a story.
Fine.
But read the stats again? Sorry.
The game before, he goes against the Giants, he goes 14 for 29, 167 yards. So, whatever. I mean, it's very, very average.
I'm going to read you a story. It says, Carson Palmer's nerve issue in shoulder is lingering. Carson Palmer believed that last week that he'd definitely be ready for the Arizona Cardinals Week 5 matchup against the Denver Broncos. As the Cardinals come out of their bye, Palmer doesn't sound quite as optimistic. Palmer told ESPN's Ed Werder that the nerve issue in his shoulder hasn't progressed as quickly as he'd hoped, and Palmer still thinks he could prove capable of starting. That sounds pretty sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, if he's hurt, let him sit, because, like I said, Stanton's been doing okay. He's fine. Like, they're not losing games because of him, and you can call him a quote-unquote game manager if you want, but I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's 30 years old, and it's not like he's some young stud, you know? He's just some guy who's just kind of been a backup quarterback.
It's pretty comical that out of all the SC quarterbacks that have kind of flailed out, that Carson Palmer's still playing. You look at Leinart, Barkley's the 3rd stringer in Philly behind Mark Sanchez, formerly of USC, the 2nd stringer. You got, what's his name in Minnesota, just broke his foot. Teddy Bridgewater looks good. He's probably
Matt
done.
Castle.
Yeah.
Can't forget about John David Booty.
Yeah. Can't forget about the former Minnesota Viking, John David Booty.
Never forget.
Never forget. JDB.
And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as USC quarterbacks go. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I think Palmer is a good quarterback. I think he got kind of screwed over when he had to leave Cincinnati, and then he got stuck in Oakland. I mean, Oakland's a no pun intended.
You don't want to get stuck in Oakland. No, it sounds like a bad porno.
No pun intended, but it's a black hole of talent. So,
what do you think about the Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys are fine. I think the Cowboys they'll win at least 9 games this year. I think they'll win in between 9. They'll win either 9 or 10 games. So they'll make the playoffs this year. I truly believe they'll make the playoffs.
One other thing. Whoa. What the hell? What's going on right now?
Couldn't tell you.
I was reading about some fantasy pickups right now. God, I'm really regretting not picking up Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, you know, hey. Somebody in this conversation was smart enough to draft him.
Well, I have Matt Asiata, but I didn't have room on my bench for both of them and Adrian Peterson, who I'm just like holding out hope for.
And someone in this conversation was also smart enough to cut him the week before last. So, whoops. But if you do check, I will too. Can I toot my own horn for a sec?
Yeah.
If you check one of my older posts that's on our blog, when I posted about the best draft steals, Jerick McKinnon was on there. So, give your boy a high five. You know?
Yeah. I'm already, I get really mad about fantasy when I make a bad decision, and then I just start getting hot in the head and sweating profusely.
Well, me too, because another guy I wrote about as my Rookie of the Year pick was Jordan Matthews, so I drafted him all my teams, cut him from all of my teams the week before. He scores 2 touchdowns and 98 yards.
You know who I did that with, Tommy?
67 yards, sorry.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah. It happens.
I picked him, I held on, and then I had Jimmy Graham as my starter, and other stuff happened.
Larry Donald, I cut him before his 3-touchdown performance.
Oh, that's got to feel good.
It felt amazing. Yeah, it felt great watching that, especially with starting Kirk Cousins. The combination of the two things just really felt amazing. So,
all right, Tommy, I think that's been good.
Yeah,
I've had enough of you.
Well, once you start talking about your fantasy football team, you can it's over. because nobody cares about other people's favorite football teams.
Yeah, Todd, we got, it's good that we pulled this thing off before the heat waves comes in. It's supposed to be in like the upper 80s and 90s. No AC. It's really an enjoyable night's sleep in this room.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm going to hang tight in my nice, cozy, somewhat cool apartment down here in San Diego with a nice marine layer floating in to keep the temperature a nice, nice even median temperature, not too hot, not too cold,
Oh, I forgot. Before we get out of here, Michael Phelps with his second DUI. So, good for him.
Yeah, I don't care.
No, I'm just, that is Subway endorsement deal. It's not a good, it's not a good look for Subway.
No.
Remember you were talking about Subway's roster?
Yeah, I tell you, oh, wow, I didn't even think, Subway's roster is taking a hit.
Who was the last one we talked about?
Yeah, they have Ryan Howard, Michael Strahan, Robert Griffin III.
Oh, was it RG3? Because it was something recently where you're talking about Subway, how Subway's
That's
terrible selection.
RG3, and then Justin Tuck's on there now of the Raiders, who having a.
Didn't he get hurt?
I don't even know. Haven't heard his name once this year.
Suddenly, it's like the Madden curse. You start getting endorsed by Subway, and either you're going to make a bad decision, or someone's going to make a bad decision that affects you, or you're going to get injured, or beat your kid or something.
Yeah, and they had the Adidas curse for a little bit. I think those shoes tear ACLs because they had Derrick Rose torn ACL, Eric Berry torn ACL, and then Ryan Howard torn ACL all in 1 year. Crazy year. It's not good.
ACL stands for Adidas client list.
Hey, did you come up with that just now?
Yeah, quick thing, right?
That's amazing. Coin that phrase. Some of them might have been MCLs, but they're all knee injuries.
I'm watching another thing that I just recalled. What the hell is Pacquiao talking about? He told Floyd that he needed to find the devil was inside him, so they needed to find God. Do you see this?
Yeah, I just generally don't listen to any boxing mumbo jumbo anymore. I'm done with boxing. I paid money for Floyd Mayweather's fight 2 fights ago. Was very disappointed. I'm not going to watch another one. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I'd rather just watch the NFL if I want to see head injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this sport does not interest me anymore, which is sad because I really did enjoy it for a couple years ago when I was working in it, but I just don't. I can't watch it anymore.
Would you compare it to like if you work at a ice cream shop and you're eating ice cream as you work and serving ice cream, and suddenly you hate ice cream after a year?
No, I mean, because I still enjoyed boxing after I was done working there. It's just after, I mean, his fights are just so disappointing, and it's so sad to me that that's all people see of boxing. They don't get to see the good fights because they don't know any of the names. So it just disappoints me that he's the face of boxing and he's what represents it, and his fights are just boring. They're just very boring. So very frustrating for me. I still like boxing, I really do, but the fact that is all you get to see of it just really kind of frustrates me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I just want to make sure you were completing your point because I had nothing left to say. I wanted to let you finish strong.
Yeah, that's all I got. That's my final.
All right, I'm a little tired, Tommy. I'm pretty hungry. I don't even know I have food around here. I gotta get something to eat.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I might have to drive to Ralph's pretty soon.
Is that your late night choice?
There's not a lot open around here, man.
There's nothing better. There's not like a late night Mexican place in San Diego.
Nope, not downtown.
Not like some taco. Why do you live downtown?
Why do I live downtown? Because it's awesome.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, but you could live in what is Pacific Beach too young? What about La Jolla? What's a nice place out by the water where you
Pacific
can live?
Beach is a young area. Mission Bay is a young area. Ocean Beach is too, but I'm a downtown kind of guy,
You're just, your business up top. You're, I'm not going to get into this.
Yeah, let's get out of here before somebody sees it.
All right. Before you say something that you're going to regret having live on the internet forever.
Yeah, we're about to finish this at an even 40 minutes. Let's get out of here.
Okay. Well, we have. I'm counting down from 10 seconds. So, you have 7 seconds to sign off. I don't need to say anything else.
For Trevor Baru, I'm Tommy Morris. We will see you next week.